Meghan Markle is just a disaster. We're supposed to call her Meghan Sussex now, this like last name made up out of thin air. Meghan Markle and Michelle Obama, they actually have a lot in common, believe it or not. Two women who believe they're kind of owed something, right? And that they don't have any respect for the institutions, whether it be the political institutions of the United States or the royal institutions of the UK. Meghan Markle has also just come out with a new show, and much like Michelle Obama, it's heading for total disaster territory. The viewership is lower than what she had on Harry and Meghan, and it's a really stupid show. Like, it's a stupid show where she tries to pretend she's Martha Stewart, except she's not Martha Stewart. She doesn't actually make cookies for her kids. She doesn't actually make jams in her spare time. And she doesn't make things like bath salts, which just turned into an epic disaster to the point where I'm like, Netflix, what are you thinking? Like, actually, she's becoming a legal liability for you. So she had this episode recently. I didn't watch it. I'm sorry, I can't bring myself to that would be too much for me to get through, honestly. But she's got some makeup artist of hers coming to her house, and so she invites him in. Here he is, and she decides she wants to make things really, really nice for him. So she's going to give him some bath salts that she makes from scratch. But apparently, the way she makes the bath salts is actually dangerous for your health, to the point where like it could cause skin lacerations and burns, because people who know something about this watched it and they noticed how much salt that she was putting into these things, and it was dangerous, just like flat out dangerous. To which again, I go back to Netflix. What are you thinking? Like, do you not have any legal liability here? I mean, what if someone tries to do this at home? She's sitting there teaching you the recipe, at least like with Martha Stewart, whether you like her or not. I mean, she actually was kind of into what she was doing, and she wasn't making it up on the fly, whereas this one is like, I think I'm going to make some jam today. I think I'm going to make some bath salts today. But be careful, right? Because according to these Instagrammers and these people that know, that follow this stuff and actually do work with bath salts, apparently these Epsom salts need to be mixed with some kind of essential oil, or if you don't, they can cause skin irritations and actual burns. So, careful for the makeup artist. Don't use anything Meghan actually makes. There were other things that she was doing. She was making like all these different homemade candles with wax from honeybees that she claims that she's raised herself. Yeah, right. And then there's this Epsom salt mixture with Himalayan salt, arnica oil, lavender oil. Theoretically, it's totally harmless, right? But it turns out that people in the know are like, no, this is not harmless. This is actually super, super, super dangerous. And I just say, like, Netflix, again, like, have some responsibility, right? Check the woman's recipes before people get hurt. Because instead of comfort, according to some, many plant extractors and skincare experts are warning that Markle's bath salt mixture may cause rashes, hives, or even burns to the skin because she failed to add a so-called carrier oil to ease the potentially volatile effects of arnica and lavender oils. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about bath salts and lavender oils, but if I were the producer of that show, I'd darn well make sure that we weren't giving people recipes that were going to hurt them. Okay, because you're that desperate for attention. Oh, but this is not the end of her. You see, right before I came to air, one of the guys on our production team, David, sent me a funny tweet from Lemonade Podcast. She's got another podcast out. Meghan Markle actually has another. So the Netflix thing is bombing, and the previous podcast on Spotify, what a train wreck that was. Like, literally nobody tuned in, and they were paying her a fortune for it. And now she's got another one from Lemonade. And I just say, like, what is it with people? Like, why are you so desperate to be on TV or be on podcasts or have a voice about nothing? Like, you're sitting there talking about lavender oils. This is an unusual show for me today that I'm even talking about these people to begin with, right? Like, normally I don't get into a lot of this entertainment news, but I think it's actually relevant and important in the scheme of things. Thank you so much. US Flagpole Guy, thank you very much. Trish for Truth. Yes, indeed. I appreciate your generosity, and I appreciate the support so, so much. It is great that we have this community of followers. Again, make sure, everybody, that you do what you can to not only subscribe, But to also make sure, let's see if we can get that up there, that you hit the bell so that you know when I am here live. Warrior for Truth, thank you as well. Again, much appreciated. Thank you so much, Warrior for Truth. That is a very kind thing for you to say. I'm glad that I'm appreciated. Maybe Meghan needs like some of this, right? For Meghan Markle and Michelle Obama. Maybe that's it. Maybe they need to feel appreciated. Listen, I'll tell you why I do this. And it's pretty simple. Oops, that's a promotion for my other company, which I highly recommend. Actually, you look at use code word dollar and get 76research.com. But the reason why I do this is because I am, how do I say this? I'm a little bit honest to a fault. Like I will tell you exactly what I think, even when I shouldn't tell you what I think. And it's gotten me into trouble at various times over the years. I mean, I think about March 2020 when I came out and said, this is ridiculous. Like the whole world is going crazy. We've got like another plane crash situation going on over on CNN and the market's tanking. And this is not normal because we're overreacting. And listen, if you want a strong economy, you better be able to fight this thing. You've got to fight this with a strong economy. You can't shut down the entire country and you can't shut down the economy. And of course, I'm trying to send a warning. And unfortunately, Donald Trump did shut down. And, you know, there was the national warning and we had the shutdown and all that ensued, and the Democrats took advantage of it, a terrible political advantage. And I shortly thereafter found myself, very much to my surprise, because my bosses knew what I was saying going into the show that night, out of my position there at Fox. And I just thought, you know what, who needs it? Like, who needs it? To think that I had to have somebody, one, look over that script so they knew exactly what I was saying, and then when push comes to shove, not have my back at the end of the day. I don't want it. Like, I would much rather be over here on my own, able to, say, take a cruise with my family, right? And still be able to do this show and speak the truth to you, and hell can freeze over. Like, I will say exactly what I think whenever it comes into my head. I don't have to worry about scripts. I don't have to worry about middle management. I don't have to worry about not being able to say something that I believe. And so that is my motivation. And we started with like 0 subs. I mean, maybe we had a couple hundred because I had a smart producer who was like 22 and put together a YouTube channel for me years ago. She was like, you should have this. She's actually a friend of mine still. She's over at Newsmax and a great superstar producer there. And she's like, you should really have this. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean a YouTube channel? But all of a sudden it became relevant for me as soon as I left that platform. And the reality is I can speak directly to you in a far more authentic way. So I love that you're here. Please make sure you subscribe if you haven't. As for 76 Research, this is a company I did create for you guys. It was in part because of what was going on during March 2020. And the reality that so many people lost out, right? Because the media was so hysterical. And I'm like, you cannot be convinced. I've been part of the financial media. And you have to understand where they are, and they're always on the news curve. And so if the market's tanking, all they're going to do is put on bears all day long. If the market's soaring, they never want to hear from a bear, right? Then it's bulls all day long. And so how do you cut through that noise? And I happen to have a dear friend who's a brilliant investor and worked on Wall Street for 20 some odd years running billions of dollars. And he felt very similar to me. So we created 76 Research so that you could have a very authentic, transparent approach to what you should be investing in for the long term. And we have 3 different portfolios. Again, I encourage you, if nothing else, just get the basic newsletter with code word dollar. So it's just $1 a month for the first 2 months. Then it goes to $9.95. You can cancel anytime, no harm, no foul. But try, I mean, I get it. It's a little crazy right now and it's been extremely volatile, but we've got some good PPI data. I'm going to get to that in a moment. And so check that out and make sure you subscribe.